Welcome back to Tipping Point. I'm your host, Kara McKinney. Late Roman Empire moment. That is how some cultural commentators like Scott Greer are responding to plans by the U.S. military to ramp up efforts, offering legal migrants a path to citizenship for serving, to act as a stopgap for the recruiting and retention crisis. Instead of addressing some of the root causes for why the young men from the American heartland, who make up the backbone of enlistments, now feel disenfranchised by the global homo empire, some call it, which makes it no secret that it sees these young men as white supremacists, good only for cannon fodder in faraway wars that are unnecessary and are ultimately detrimental to the nation, and instead now seeks to replace them, as it already did in the homes and in factories in the 20th century. Except this time it's taking on a decidedly historic tone of a collapsing empire, because ancient Rome did this too. Does no remember Arminius, the German warrior who fought for Rome for the perks of citizenship and then stabbed the empire in the back, killing 3 Roman legions in the Teutoburg forest? Remember Emperor Augustus reportedly crying out, according to classical historian Suetonius, "Varus, bring me back my legions," as he hit his head repeatedly against doors in mourning, railing against a long-dead Roman general who died trusting Arminius, leading to the loss of about 18,000 men and leaving the new Caesar vulnerable. Well, Daily Roman Updates, an historical account, quipped that we're going to pay the Franks to fight the Goths. Orrin McIntyre from The Blaze corrected the historical analysis to say no, it's far worse. The emperor is going to pay them to fight the Romans. That's even scarier. There's been a lot of talk about using the military to enforce, say, vaccine mandates or even gun buybacks, but most young men serving would never carry out unconstitutional orders like that against their friends, their family, and other compatriots. But what if the ranks were full of people whose very existence in this nation was by serving those in power? And they're constantly told that Americans are evil and racist anyway, so they deserve to have everything taken from them. That is worrisome. Joining us now to discuss this and a whole lot more is William Ruger, the president of the American Institute for Economic Research. Will, thanks for being here tonight.
Thanks for having me.
Is this a good way to stop retention and recruitment, the crisis that we're currently facing?
Well, I think first of all, we need to sort out why this is happening and to deal with those things when it comes to recruiting, citizens that are already, people that are citizens of our country. And, one thing I kind of smiled at when in your intro was that you're talking about the Battle of the Teutoburger Forest. I mean, that's something that you don't hear on any other news station in many ways. So I give you plaudits for that. But, you could look at it another way to say is, look, at least you're asking legal migrants to try to kind of join the American experiment in liberty and democracy. And there's a lot of people who say that one of the challenges is finding ways in which people can embrace our tradition, and military service has been a tradition in our country. So I think you could look at it a lot of different ways.
I think so as well, but one thing that I've just seen and heard on the ground by people I know who actually, have recently left serving in the forces, what they're hearing is a lot of people who've come in, a lot of people talk about, I have cousins in the cartel, and they're very proud to talk about that. They're very proud to say, hey, I'm subverting things from the inside. I hate America. America's terrible. I'm just here for the paycheck. And, obviously, grunts, troops have always kind of messed around and joked about how much they hate serving. But of course, really in their heart of hearts, they actually do care and want to serve. But you just see a lot of the lowered standards, and you really do see that playing out. You see a similar thing happening even in the ranks of law enforcement. I'm thinking right now in my mind of one guy who graduated from West Point, and on the inside of his cap, he had the hammer and sickle. And he was saying that he's a communist, and he's going to use his education to use that in the ranks of the military. A lot of young men today from the American heartland, they hear what General Milley's saying. They hear what General Lloyd Austin, or the defense secretary is saying, and they feel like they're being personally targeted and attacked by a lot of that language. But then those same guys will turn around and say, now go out to Timbuktu, basically, go find a war that we're not going to tell you much about why the U.S. is even strategically there. Just go out, and if you die, we're not going to tell your parents a whole lot of anything about why you were serving there in the first place. Maybe Biden will be there to meet your corpse at Dover, where he's going to be checking his watch and not really caring about anything that you did. He's going to be talking about himself. A lot of young men are seeing that and thinking, that doesn't seem how it was when my grandfather fought or when my dad's dad fought or what have you. And so you see a lot of that. You see a lot of the depression, a lot of suicide. I mean, we talk about it in numbers, but just knowing guys who've served, it is rife. It is horrific. The suicide epidemic, not being paid well, giving undercooked food. And a lot of these young men who go in with starry eyes and loving America and patriotism, wanting to fight America's enemies, a lot of them become so black-pilled they leave saying, we shouldn't be in half the places that we're in.